Hi class, today we are going to talk about the concept of self-improvement and positive thinking and how those concepts and the way that they are articulated in our culture play into the idea of productivity. So basically the relationship between self-improvement, positive thinking, and productivity. Self-improvement as a set of activities and as a goal is a huge part of Western culture. Um, and it's not necessarily as important in other parts of the world as it is here, and it certainly has not historically always been as important as it is now. Before, I would say, in the 18th century and earlier, in the West, people tended to think more in terms of their place in the eyes of God. So you weren't necessarily improving yourself to be a better version of yourself. You were just working on being, more morally righteous and less sinful, just as an example. In other religious belief systems, there are ways that people tend to kind of think about themselves and think about the way they want to be better in order to fulfill the moral and value kind of frameworks of their religions. So in the West, in contemporary society, capitalism basically takes the place, it's like a secular religion. It's a religion that we all practice kind of by default, whether or not we really are aware of it. And the improvement of ourselves has come to be one of the ways in which we participate personally and intimately with capitalism. So it's not just about spending money and making money. It's really about the way that we think about our own selves and our self-worth in this society. So we tend to believe that if we try hard enough, we can overcome many of our own challenges. And we also tend to believe that it's our own responsibility to do that. Blaming other people for your problems is looked down upon, and we also are discouraged as capitalist subjects to think of problems as being, you know, someone else's fault or the fault of systems beyond our control. We're encouraged to think of most of our kind of immediate problems as things that we ourselves are responsible for fixing, whether it's through working harder, changing our circumstances. Uh, there are many ways that we tend to think that if we only put in the effort, things are going to get better, right? So we also believe that hard work, whether it's professionally or through our leisure practice, is essential to self-improvement. You guys probably think this is obvious, right? Like, what else is self-improvement other than working hard and getting good at something, or making yourself more intelligent, making yourself more, let's say, physically fit, making yourself more presentable to the people that you're attracted to, that you want to attract. But see, the fact that most of us take this for granted and think that this is obvious only proves how deeply embedded this is in our society. It's in fact really just a set of social constructs that basically reinforce the value system of capitalism. And in this lecture, I'm going to lay out some of the ways in which that happens. So we tend to associate laziness with an unwillingness to improve ourselves. Being lazy isn't just lying around and doing nothing. It's also a kind of a resistance to change, right? Resistance to fulfilling your own potential. And so to resist that is to say, basically, I don't care if I'm wasting my time, if I'm not making the most of myself. And so these very ideas of that we all contain potential, that if we only work hard enough, we can unlock it, is very capitalist, right? Not every culture in the world believes this. And certainly, historically, very few cultures have believed this as powerfully and as strongly as we do today in contemporary capitalism. How we think of using our free time productively. So this is where productivity and free time come together in self-improvement. We tend to categorize our leisure time activities in terms of sort of guilty pleasures or wasting time or sort of fun for its own sake, and those which are time well spent, productive, and those are usually the ones that we associate with self-improvement. Cooking, exercise, reading, kind of engaging in a hobby that might produce something, That's typically associated with productive leisure. We tend to think of consuming media, watching YouTube videos, watching TikTok, playing video games, watching TV. We tend to associate with kind of not necessarily wasted leisure time, but leisure time that is not being used productively. So capitalism's ideological bent towards productivity, towards making something, in this case is about making ourselves better. And we think of that as something we can do during our free time. So in this sense, work and being productive bleeds into our free time. In fact, in a capitalist society, for many people, there really is no such thing as truly free time because we use our free time in order to improve ourselves so that we can be more employable, more attractive, basically better able to compete during our working time. That might take the form of exercise, it might take the form of improving our appearance in other ways, or it might take the form of improving what we consider our intelligence through learning things, acquiring new skills. All of these are ways in which we work on ourselves to improve ourselves. And this lecture, and also for the next couple of weeks, we're really going to talk a lot about how self-improvement is actually an expression of capitalist ideas about what it means to be productive.